Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
This is very quiet. I need to connect this HDMI, so Andrew is going to help me with this. So first of all, I'm truly honored to be here today. And I did not know that 26th April evening will be spent like this. And that's how my entire life is. I don't plan for things just happen. Just last week, I had the opportunity to spend some time with Vern Harnish, the founder of EO, who shared stories about his father. And interestingly, here I am in Arizona at the celebration of Mr. Ben Brooks, who happens to be the founder of EO Arizona. Again, you talking about your father. So things happen in my life. I think the universe is too powerful for us to plan. And I kind of figured that out, and I'll share some of my stories here. Turned off.
There we go. Just coming back on.
It's coming up? All right, so I don't live here. I live in Silicon Valley, and I'm the founder CEO of a company called MentorCloud, and we recently opened an office in Phoenix, and it's really hot. I got tanned so quickly. Every time I come, I'm getting more and more tanned. But I love Phoenix. Back in October, I came along with my family to Grand Canyon and happened to meet Harry Clark. I think some of you may know Harry Clark. And he seduced me, to come to Phoenix. And here we have an office and presence here. So as I was preparing for this, I actually came across this quote because I actually live by this because my dad passed away 18 years ago. But I don't think he has gone anywhere. When I was here and he was in India, I would call him once a week and say, hi, how are you doing? And that's it. Between the weekend calls, I was not even thinking about him because I had I have a PhD and lots of other things going on. But now I find myself thinking about him almost on an everyday basis, like you mentioned, Trace. So I saw this quote and I thought I want to share it because our dead are never dead to us until we have fully forgotten about them. And this is a very interesting quote, George Eliot's quote. And one of my passions is, just like how I remember my dad, I hope, my children and, future generations, we really never die. And I'll talk more about it. So very quickly, my background from India, came to the US about 25 years ago. Like she said, I'm an engineer. I learned how to build ships. Even though in Phoenix there's no ocean here, so but at least it's a very complicated thing that moves. And then I got into hybrid cars. I have an engineering patents in hybrid vehicles. I developed some of the very early concepts of Prius and other hybrid vehicles. Then I said, cars are too big. I went even smaller. I worked on semiconductor chips, and then said it's too small. Let me work on something big. I went back to work on the 787 Dreamliner. I did the supply chain planning for it. How many of you have been on a Dreamliner? Very few. Everybody else, please plan a vacation. Whenever the Dreamliner flies, just be on it and think about me. I had something to do with it. It's a plane that does not get you jet lag. It's not made of aluminum. It's made of composites, and it's beautiful. Do you agree? It's an experience. It's really a Dreamliner. So I spent all my time in engineering and supply chain. I have a PhD in fluid mechanics. So I always say it's all about the flow. Whenever flow stops, flow of blood, we die. Flow of money, economy dies. And flow of products, So I said, what if I take that and apply to flow of wisdom? And that got me interviews. I didn't know it was such a cool idea. But then Forbes and Harvard Business Review kind of wrote about it. So I said, there's something here. So I started a company, MentorCloud, and recently published my book. I brought some copies. I hope some of you will get a chance to pick it up. And there is one person in my life that is in all my demos. All my virtual demos. The moment I start my audio Zoom call, my dog is with me. So, I believe like you said, whether you are alive physically or alive in the hearts and minds of other people, I truly believe it's a blessing. And I look at time as a God-given gift because, and again, I did not suddenly come up with this. I went through experiences because you are looking at someone who is kind of living his third life. So my story, when I was 1 month before being born, and my mom's doctor says, the baby, something is wrong. We have to abort him or her, because they didn't know, right? In India, we didn't have sort of, to find the sex of the child. So my mom was ready to get operated because they said, otherwise your life is in danger. And my aunt comes from nowhere and she says, surgery in our family doesn't exist. Okay, we are all about natural births. So in a matter of 15 minutes, my mom, she moves out of the hospital, and a month later I just came out just fine. So that was interesting. That was an opportunity. And in February 2009, I went to India and I gave a keynote about igniting the genius within. And just like all of us, I sat in a plane. The plane almost took off, and then the plane that was actually the helicopter that carried the president of India was landing. So in a matter of 2 seconds, we missed a very horrible tragedy. And so while we were all kind of thanking God and saying, oh my God, we got saved, I kind of said, my God, I got saved again. That means I have a job. At work, if you don't get fired, that means there is a project we have to finish. Because I truly believe when I come to Phoenix from Silicon Valley, I'm not here watching movies or going up the camel back. I have work to do. And that's how I view our time on the planet. We came here, we have a project. Now, unfortunately, nobody gives us that project plan. When you're a CEO or VP of marketing, there is something you do, but on the planet we don't know. So it's up to us to figure that out. Why are we here? We're not here to just eat and drink and consume and just one day vanish. We are here for a purpose. That's why we all look different, we all act different, we all speak different, because we all have different jobs. So so I said it's a message. So now I'm involved in construction of hospitals in rural India, because no child should, his or her destiny should not be decided by a bad doctor. So we've got to change that. And the experience of that life-changing moment, because I said, if that accident did happen, then of course I won't be here today. But who would the media write about? Media writes about the president regardless. But if this was happened in India, they would obviously write about the president who died, not the 149 others that were in the plane. So I walked away from that event saying, I better do something. I better have a long obituary. I read your dad's obituary this morning and it was just very fascinating. And in fact, Stanford MBA has their first project, write your own obituary. Because you want people to write about you, you want people to miss you. So I said, I want the world to miss me. That's why I have a big vision. I started the company, and it's called MentorCloud. So as a person who lives and breathes mentoring, to be here to talk about a mentorship award ceremony, it's truly serendipity. It's what the universe has planned. I didn't call her, I didn't even know her before I went to Toronto. So I'm truly blessed. It's a calling. And in my book, you will see, because I'm an engineer, I'm not a learning and development or a HR person. So I kind of define mentoring in a very simple way. It's about sharing, a body of knowledge that we have acquired with people that we care about. It's not sitting, standing on the street and shouting what you know, but it is sharing with an intent to see the other person grow. And today you are celebrating this annual mentorship awards because of that sharing that happened over the last 1 year. And I do work with YPO, so our company's technology is used by YPO and also EO. So EO Arizona will be rolling it out as well. So you will see you will see my work and start using your technology platform at some point later in the year. So I'm really honored to work with YPO folks. I've been to all of the GLCs, and I must say EO GLC is a lot more fun. So I'm going to tell the YPO guys, get some music, get some more energy. And then from the mentee side, it's nothing but learning what you need to know from the people you trust. So for me, mentorship is sharing and learning. And this kind of is the fundamental essence of my book, of all my talks. Last night I was giving an art of mentoring workshop where I'm actually teaching people how to be a good mentor, how to be a good mentee. Because in college we are taught to be independent. Like my daughter is taking advanced calculus class and she's struggling. She can't get a mentor and ask for help, right? She has to learn, right? So the idea of seeking help is not taught. How do you find a mentor? How do you engage with him or her? How do you maintain the relationship? So because that skill is such an important thing, when I started this, all the typical Silicon Valley VCs said, Ravi, you should go back to Boeing. If you do a supply chain software or a gaming software, we'll invest in you. Why mentoring software? But then when I did my research, Steve Jobs had a mentor, Mark Zuckerberg had a mentor, Warren Buffett had a mentor. So I said, something is wrong. When all the successful people are talking about mentorship, why is it that the investment community doesn't appreciate it? So I took the plunge, and it wasn't easy, but today I'm laughing and everybody else is like, oh, I wish we participated. So I want to share a story because, the two near-death experiences kind of taught me the value of time, taught me the value of life. But this story, I met a young man, 18-year-old, just before that accident, that flight accident that we missed. He happens to be visually challenged. And after my talk, just like this, he walks up to me and says, sir, I want to study science and math, but India doesn't allow visually challenged people to study science and math. We had some old British rule, when UK left us, they left a lot of bad stuff. This is one such rule. So he said, I want to prove myself. So can you help me get into MIT? I'm like, do you even know what MIT is? And I said, it's going to be very, very cold. To walk, even for a normal human being, is tough. So anyway, so I wanted to really test his so-called grit and how determined he is. So I slipped my address where I was staying in India, and next day he shows up. How many of you have been to India? I mean, today you have Uber, today you have GPS. This was several years ago. I don't know how he showed up. In some remote corner of a city, 8th floor of apartments, he came in and he said, sir, I'm serious about it. So, to cut the long story short, I started mentoring him, and he has gotten into MIT. 2015, he graduated from MIT Sloan, and now he is the CEO of his company, Bellant Industries. He's doing really well. Thank you. The praise goes to you. We did all the work. And all of you mentors know, all we are doing is little nudging. We are reinforcing what's already there, right? We are giving them confidence. We're giving them, opening our sort of Rolodex and connections. So I wrote a blog, and this again sort of forms the basis of how I deal with people. Many people in the world have eyesight, but there's no vision. And this young man had vision, but no eyesight. So he designed all his machinery, and all his workers are physically handicapped people, or differently abled people, to say it. So it just amazes me even today. How is it possible? But it is possible. It is possible to keep your eyes open and have no vision, but it's also possible to keep your eyes closed and have a fantastic vision. So that really transformed me. And until then, it was all about, I had my bachelor's, I went to one of the top schools in India, master's, PhD funded fully. I got my US citizenship as an outstanding researcher. It was success, success, success. But then I found a lot more joy when there was an element of significance. So I believe that our lives should be a good mix of success and significance. And I'm going to spend more time on that. So when I work with younger people, I tell them earlier, we were all expected to go to schools, take the SATs, right? All of us took the SATs or GREs, and you're supposed to do it. So early part should be focused on success. I tell my daughter, focus on studies, nothing else. I see success as an inward process. Do you agree? It's all about, consuming. You're consuming knowledge, you're consuming resources. But significance is what I want you to at least think about, is pay more attention to that towards the later part of our lives. That's what I'm doing now, that every day, how much am I learning, in my company, for my company, and how much am I giving? Because I see significance is all your outward actions. It's an outward process. And it's a contribution process. So if there are two words to remember, it's consumption and contribution. Whether it is about the planet, whether it is about mentoring, it has to be both. If our entire life, if we are consuming from the planet, it's time that we also do something for it. Go plant a tree and do something. So life should be a balance of both. It cannot be unidirectional. And we as a human race thrived because of that bidirectionality. Unfortunately, we don't talk about it as much as we should. So you all know, you're all part of the mentorship program and you're celebrating. Have you announced the award yet? Not yet. Okay, so I don't know who the award wins. So all of you are actually winners. I think all the mentors should get a round of applause. Because what you're doing is, as a mentor, you are essentially symbolizing the act of giving. You could be building your own companies. So I really commend you for having a program that runs a whole year and even celebrating a mentorship award. And I also write in my book this concept called a personal board of mentors. All our companies have board of directors, but then I have people who come in at the time of crisis and say, what do I do? I say, do you have people around you? Who is on your speed dial? Not your girlfriend, boyfriend, and some uncle and aunt. Who are those people who you can rely on for advice on family, financial, how to be a parent, all of these aspects. So I'm a big believer in surrounding ourselves with not just one mentor for the company, but you need your own personal board of mentors. And to achieve significance, again, all the mentors here, all the entrepreneurs here, definitely it's about giving back. And I also define mentoring as legacy that meets ambition. Because all your mentees, are the mentees in the room as well? Right? You're all ambitious. You want to grow your companies. You want to do something big. Because we entrepreneurs are crazy people. I could be working at Boeing and I could get paid even if I don't go to work. But here we are, we say no to a salary and come and try to do something. Because it's only entrepreneurs that change the world. It's only the crazy people that say, I want to do something. So it's an ambition that is now getting connected to legacy. So I use some of this sort of words to make mentoring simple. It's not rocket science. To send a rocket to the moon, it takes a lot of energy. To be a good mentor, it just requires you to be a good human being, to share what you know. So, I said, where is the best place I want to live? And I believe, and I want to leave this with this thought with you, living in the hearts and minds of millions of people is the best place to live. Because it's actually very economical, because you don't pay any mortgage. Right? If you live in a house, you pay mortgage, utility bills, there are no bills to pay, no mortgage to pay, but it's so easy to live. That's what I mean by legacy. And the fact that we are talking about, Mr. Brooks, even after 11 years after he passed away, he's definitely living right here. He's here. Because in India, we believe in spirits, not the things you see in, white gowns and, sort of scaring people. Our parents are here. They have not gone anywhere. And, we do believe that they will come back at some point in time, but I do believe that he's probably here listening to you, to all of you, kind of guiding you, because I feel the same way. My dad, he sold insurance. He never went to school because he didn't have money. He came from a small village. So he was an entrepreneur. He said, if I stay in the village, my children will be in the village too. So he went to a city and, from really no education, he became the top 100 life insurance agents in the country. So India is a big country, 1.2 billion people. So he taught me the power of hard work, and he was like your dad, always joking, always laughing. He didn't write a book, but I'm sure if he lived longer, he also died about 65 years old. So this is the word I would like you to all of you to leave, kind of remember. It's all about legacy. And you think about it as you go around your businesses, your lives. Are we doing enough to leave something behind? And this was a tweet. I want to leave it on a more funny note. I tweet regularly, and I kind of said one day, I was thinking, if you are a consumer or a receiver, the only person who will miss you is the UPS driver or the Amazon people, right? They come back, they put this horrible sticker on your door saying come back, and I hate it. But if you're a giver, the entire neighborhood, the entire world will miss you. They'll miss you. And I think Mr. Brooks was a giver. That's why we all miss him today. That's why we are actually having an award named after him. And it's just simply incredible for me to be here as the person who's the author of Art of Mentoring and mentoring. If you ask my wife, she'll say, don't use the word mentoring in my house, because I talk about it so much elsewhere, right? So it's really indeed an honor to be speaking at this award ceremony. I congratulate all the mentors. It's not about the winning, it's about the playing, right? It's about participating. It's about taking that initiative to see someone else grow. And the joy I get when I see my mentees and the one I talked about is just phenomenal. It doesn't come from a new Tesla or a new iPhone 10. This is just makes you feel so good that you are breathing and living and somebody else is better because of you. So with that, thank you so much for your time. And I appreciate it.